Hey everybody, this is Patti Negri, and welcome to the Witching Hour. Yes, the hour when the veil is thin and magic happens, no matter when you're tuning in. I have some very special magic for you today. So special that you might even recognize her from being here before. She is an author, she is a witch, she is a medium, she is a magical practitioner, and she has a great new book out. Let's welcome back Sterling Moon. Sterling, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me, Patty. It's such a pleasure to see you again.
Thank you. I want to wish you happy. This is our very first show of the new year, 2026. So happy new year to everybody. I thought you would be absolutely perfect to bring on with some of your magic. So tell us, let's start out with a little bit about your new book, your little book of spirit communication.
Oh,
Tell us about that.
it's so cute. It's just this little friend. So I was delighted to be invited to write the spirit communication book for Llewellyn's Little Book series. I think they have like 20 or 21 of these cute little hardback books by now. And I had written a book that came out in early 2023. I think that's what caused our paths to cross last time. And so this one is called Talking to Spirits: Modern Mediums Practical Advice for Spirit Communication. And that first book was very like it written in the first person, a lot of stories, and definitely written for from people who come at spirit communication from the perspective of mediumship, but also, being curious about paranormal exploration and investigation and also magic. And Little Book of Spirit Communication felt like a bigger challenge because I kept thinking about how this might be the very first book that someone picks up. I didn't want like kind of me to be at the front of that at all. I wanted the reader to be at the front. And so I realized that there's 4 paths that I see people coming to spirit communication, people they've lost someone they love, and they either are looking for signs or they're getting those signs and sometimes going through that process of, "Am I losing it or is my loved one reaching out?" People who are magical practitioners, which I'm a strong believer that if you're a witch or a spiritual practitioner, mediumship is a part of that. People who are just natural mediums, we couldn't avoid the presence of spirits if we tried. And then the paranormally curious. And so I got real excited about writing a book that tried to meet everyone in those categories at the same level.
Right. And then keep it little too.
Oh my gosh. Oh man, and by the way, congratulations on your book too.
Oh,
That looks so incredible. Um,
thank you.
but when we're writing kind of just on a topic, we get like, 50,000 words. We get a little bit more room to just kind of, oh, so good. Do whatever we would need to do. This is a little guy. It's hard to write short. I'd rather just go blah, 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 blah.
Well, because but at its perfect, it's perfect. I personally like little books because I have a very short attention span. It's like, wait, moving on. So I think it is great. So, and spirit communication, of course, it's always been popular, whatever, but it seems extra popular now. I don't know what, I have some ideas of why that might be, but have you noticed that as well?
Oh yeah. I think for a lot of us, I started doing this work professionally. I've been reading tarot since the mid 90s and started, teach it started with tarot, teaching and reading professionally and kind of realizing, wait a minute, I think that there's why am I just reading these cards? But I feel like does your grandmother look like this? And is there any reason that she would be saying this? So for me, it was a kind of natural progression. And then the pandemic is really, I think, when that's when my business became a bigger part of my life. And I think that kind of like with the rise of spiritualism, right? Like you have all the things that happened. You had the 1918 flu, we have the Civil War, we have just all of so many people experiencing grief and loss and wondering what else is going on out there. And I think that hard times seem to have a correlation with curiosity about what else is out there, is my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I think that is exactly what it is. Scary times if we get blown up tomorrow. We wanna know that if we could talk to grandma, we're gonna know we're okay about it. And I love that you divided it into the groups. Of course, the magical practitioners like us, the curious, those who wanna talk to grandma because she just poofed on, and the paranormal. My philosophy on the paranormal is that we're all scared. So again, I wanna know I'm gonna be okay if, the aliens blow us up tomorrow. But there's people who don't want it. Traditionally, people would go back to their religion or to church or to whatever, and that's not holding up for everybody, so they're discovering more alternatives, and witchcraft is growing and new age stuff.
I am so sorry. I was, I my I was just trying to, sorry about that. I was getting a spam call and, oh my god,
It's okay. It's
it
like,
just my phone just screamed at me.
that's why I said the aliens are gonna blow us up tomorrow. We got an alien
We
scam.
literally, oh my god,
No.
that was so embarrassing. Oh my god, I'm so
It's
sorry.
fine. It is fine. But yeah, if people again are scared, but I think there are some people who don't want religion of any sort or spirituality or even any of this woo-woo stuff. But they want to know that they could be okay tomorrow. They're looking into the paranormal because I do all the paranormal conventions, and they're like, "Let's go on a ghost hunt. Let's go on a paranormal investigation." I don't want this woo-woo stuff. And so it's like a new religion for people who don't want religion, but know that we're gonna be okay if we all get blown up by those funny sounding aliens on your phone.
On my phone, it is a funny thing because I think one of the things that I have been very heartened by, especially from like my pals that are in more that paranormal world, is I feel like there's a little bit more openness to maybe like listening, like learning how to listen instead of like listening to the spirit box or like just being so focused on the REM pod. I'm seeing a little bit more openness to like putting that to the side and just like listening to
Yes.
oneself and noticing how are you feeling in your body and your mind, like it makes me feel because I feel like there is something that's so precious about what we are able to do as, like, witches and mediums is that you have to learn how to listen to yourself deeply and
Yes.
kind of tune every and that is I don't know, so I it makes me happy to see a little bit more of that discussion happening in the paranormal world, but and I don't know, Patty, I'm curious to hear what you think too about it does also feel though like the spirits are getting louder,
They
and
are.
and I've heard
Oh,
you
yeah.
talk about this before, and I've always been like, "God, I hope I get to talk with her about this someday." Because I
Yeah.
do also think that, like, they're getting louder, we're getting better at listening, and it just makes me wonder, like, where is this going?
I go all the way up. I agree wholeheartedly, and I think the veil is thinner and thinner and thinner, and maybe it's because 'cause we're moving at the age of Aquarius, and the world's gonna be different, and every astrological sign you get into as a whole is gonna be different. Maybe it's more communication there. And I do completely agree. More and more of these magic spirituality brought into where in olden days with the paranormal team, it's all about the equipment, all about the tech. Now almost every team wants a medium or a psychic on their team. And I think it is once those like they come, I want to go on a ghost hunt, and then they see that it is real, and then they're gonna backdoor into a spirituality or a plane that could help them navigate through. I love that. But I think it is getting more and more and more, unexplainable, which is now getting explained by science as much as spirituality with all the quantum things, but more and more stuff that just really can't be denied with spirit communication, our world and their world crashing together. So who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? But I'm here for it. It's a fun ride.
So if somebody's like, wow, I'm really interested in this. What is your I want to talk to let's just stay with grandma for whatever.
Yep.
I want to talk to grandma. What is your number one do you have a rule or a ground rule for people to do this?
Oh gosh. I'm one of those people, you ask me what time it is, and I'm gonna tell you how the watch is made. I think there's one thing that I always encourage people to think about before they start going down this path, and that is, I have a friend who always likes to say there's 3 big questions that we're all presented with, and that is, "Where did I come from? Why am I here? And where am I going?" And so I do sometimes like when people will ask, how do I do spirit communication? And I'll just flat out ask, like, what do you think happens to your soul when you die? Like, let's start with thinking about that, you know? Because for some people, it's, if you are open to the idea that our soul is bigger than our grandma's soul is bigger than just grandma, That kind of opens up a whole bunch of like just interesting things to think about. So I always think that it's interesting to just unpack your belief system and see like what are you open to at this time? When it comes to like, okay, we've been there, we've done that, let's do the thing. I like to remind folks that especially with like our ancestors and our loved ones, like it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be fancy. And so I think sometimes it can be as simple as just saying out loud, "Grandma, I just want you to know that I'm thinking about you and I miss you and when I encounter this one thing or I smell this one smell, it really reminds me of you and I hope you're doing okay and I hope that you look after me and those I love." That can be enough, and you can add, "And if you check in on me, would you send me a sign?" And you know how often you'll get that sign. Now when people wanna take it a little bit farther, I am a very big proponent of knowing yourself, like, knowing how to, like, drop in and kind of take a baseline of, like, what are you bringing to the party? How are you feeling in your body, your spirit, your mind? What's going on around you? Learning some protection, learning some grounding, protection, calling directly to a spirit, learning to work with your psychic senses, learning how to, like, understand the clair senses, and, also too, knowing that it's important to say goodbye. Like, it's important to say, "Okay, grandma, like, that was really fun." Also to be very specific, "I want to talk to grandma. I don't wanna talk to anyone else right now." And also remembering to say goodbye and having a process of closing your session, and then also learning spiritual hygiene, like keeping your spirit clean, keeping your workspace clean. And also too, I think that there's a lot of folks that they dive in sometimes to some of the heavier things, like the number of people I encounter who they're like, they wanna start spirit communication and they're like, "Yeah, I wanna start working with infernal spirits." I'm like, "Okay, let's start with why. Let's start with why." Not to say you can do whatever you want, but is that a good place to start? Maybe not.
Don't jump in the
So,
deep end until you learn how to swim, you know?
yep, there is that. There is that.
But I do like that you stress, like, simplicity, it seems, and I think doesn't that help people feel safer and more confident in, "I can show me a sign grandma," to get started? I love that.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, I feel like it also just helps you to realize that I think that spirits and all of this, it's a part of the natural world. We like to call it supernatural, and I love the word supernatural. And also, I just think that we're exposed to this stuff all the time, and it's just learning how to listen to it and pay attention and ask for a little bit more of it. That's just me.
I know, I agree wholeheartedly. Also for tools and things, you explore tools like using your intuition, use
Yeah.
meditation, divination, and
Oh, yeah.
signs. So how much do you rely on tools, or is tools are just an added bonus?
I love all of it. I love all of it. I absolutely so for kind of more of like the metaphysical tools, I love working with black scrying mirrors. I love scrying. And then for folks who are listening who are like, "Did she say crying?" I like crying too. Crying is good for you. But scrying is like resting your gaze on a reflective surface or gazing into a candle flame or a fire and just allowing those images and messages to come to you. Love doing mirror work. I love working with pendulums for like yes, no answers. But honestly, probably for spirit work, I love dowsing rods so much. Yeah, yeah,
Me
that's
too,
right,
yeah.
that's right. Oh, thank you for the definition there. I feel like dowsing rods are so nice because they have such a storied use. I mean, they can be used to find water or metals or, like, dead bodies, like, back in the day. But they can do yes, no, maybe, but they can also point, like, and those are so fun when you're exploring spirited locations of show me where to go. Like, where are the spirits that want to talk to me? And they're like, "Whoop, go this way." Oh, I love dowsing rods. Those are like the one that I always tell people to get. I, okay, I am gonna show this because 'cause I'm proud of this, and
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not a huge yes, oh, and copper dowsing rods are the best. I'm not scared of talking boards or Ouija boards. I find them cumbersome though, and so I had always wanted a talking board in a deck form because 'cause I'm a card reader, and so I made one. When you don't see, like, what you have out there, you make one, and these are handmade for now. Hand cut all of this, but it's called my Spirit Says Talking Deck, and so I can shuffle. And so kind of like drop in and shuffle and I'll pull a letter or sometimes yes, no, maybe. It has all the classics that are here, has the numbers. And then I just see what comes to my mind. And so these have been really fun to work with. In terms of the paranormal tools, I love spirit boxes. I love doing a good Estes method session. They are so fun, especially to do with groups. And that's yeah, you just and yeah, for folks who aren't familiar with the Estes method, it was created out here in Colorado, out at the Stanley Hotel by Connor Randall and Carl Pfeiffer, and I believe Michelle Tate was part of the group that created it. And it was, yeah, the headphones, the eye mask, and listening to the sound of a spirit box, and you don't I think as mediums, it's nice because you just let the images come to you, kinda
Yeah.
helps you drop into that trance state. Oh gosh, I love it all, Patty. I'm like, I
I know
love it all.
those are my favorites too. What am I love the S's again because you can't hear. I recently did something with Sam and Colby, and we had 2 people doing
Mm,
S's,
yeah.
and 3 media we were having conversations. The 2 people finished each other's sentences within it. It
Mhm.
was amazing. And why I do like the tool stuff is it just get I also like an SLS camera. It just,
Mm.
it's the dancing green stick people.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's just confirmation for what we do and what we see. I for years I've been going, okay, there's somebody doing high kicks sitting on the chair over there. Kick, kick,
Mhm.
dip, kick. You believe me or you don't believe me. Now there's some person in another room who can't see or hear me, and they've got a little green stick figure doing kick, kick, dip, kick, kick. It's like, yes, same thing with the S's. I think it's Kathleen. We got a Kathleen. It's like, and no one can hear anybody. I love the technology. I just want somebody else to carry it. I'm
Oh
about
my
as
gosh.
technical as dowsing rods and
Yeah.
and
Something
dowsing
else to
rods
charge the
too.
batteries too.
You have the batteries. I know we need to invent something other than batteries that die or rechargeable and
Oh,
but
yes.
dowsing rods don't need batteries. I
They
guess we are
don't.
the battery.
We are the battery. Now, the one thing that I will say, because sometimes I'll have folks, especially for those of you who are listening that are maybe a little newer, and you kind of go and you're like, "Oh, I want to look into getting this," and you're like, "Holy cow, that's expensive." Another thing that you can also do is, I you have to be very still with this. I have had so much fun, especially with my students, and because I have this event that I do once a year called Beyond the Veil, and I rent a haunted location. We usually book the whole place, and we just spend 72 hours learning about the history. We do double Estes method sessions. I mean, we'll go do this for like 5 or 6 hours. It's so fun. And then we have a big old seance and it's like I've been doing this every year for the past 4 years.
Wow.
But one of the things that we always have is balloons. And again, you have to be very still, but there's nothing more satisfying when there's a spirit nearby and you're like, "Hey, can you please nudge that balloon?" And it moves, it spins, and balloons are cheap. So that is something that you can also bring into. And dowsing rods are, I think, copper ones are probably about 20 bucks, like, but that's a good setup. That's a good way to get started.
I agree wholeheartedly. You don't need the $500 plus
No.
Ovilus or the no,
Mm-mm.
balloons, I love. Dowsing rods, I love if you can get them. A flashlight with the on off almost going
Yeah.
off, and cat balls.
Oh,
Plain
cat
old go to
balls.
Petco and get them cat balls. Spirits seem to love those. So you could spend, $5 and have everything you want, just about not counting the dowsing rods. How does being a medium, both working mediums, does spirit communication come into your everyday work? I'm not saying you're talking to grandma every day, but how can it be part of your daily life? Not just I'm doing a seance or a mediumship session now.
Yeah. I think one, you kind of get your well, you know how it's like a self-care thing where when we do this work and this is like our job, you do have to get good at like turning it up so you can work with clients or be open to what's in a space and then turning it down so you can function as like a normal human being. Uh, or are we normal? I don't know. Well, function as a human being. And so, but I do think that, it definitely makes me more aware of my surroundings. I feel like I'll get my little spidey senses will pick up both with locations, but also with living people and like living situations. I feel like my gut instincts have gotten a lot better over the years. And so I feel like that just helps me and that helps me be a better mom. It helps me to be a better partner. I, I think, my work also helps me to really pay attention to the energy of my home and my working spaces. And so knowing how to spiritually clean my home and kind of keep like and also just like take care of myself. You have to if you want to be in this work for the long haul, as I'm sure you know, you have to take care of yourself energetically, physically, emotionally. And so I feel like it's just made me a better person and my life is so much more interesting. I mean, Patty, I was supposed to be like I spent 20 years as an advocate for victims of crime. Like I was like in it and I started my first name is Sterling, my last name is not Moon. I started working under that name because I had this normal job, big girl job, and I was like, "I don't want anybody to know about this other stuff I'm doing." And then at a certain point, I'm like, "I'm having way more fun over here." But, yeah, I mean, I thought I was gonna be running a nonprofit, like, at this point. I'm so glad I'm not. I'm having so much more fun.
I know it is more fun. I ran a very corporate production company for almost 20 years. Kept it this world very, very separate because like these people can't know I talk to dead people or dance around, bonfires in a club. But oops, at this world is way more fun. Uh so how did you come along this path? Have you been talking to dead since you were a kid? Both the mediumship path, those speaking to spirits, as well as the pagan path, the witchy path.
Oh gosh. So I think I've always been sensitive. I've always been a sensitive kid. And I kind of kept it in check. Like it was more, I always like to describe it as like popcorn experiences of being really, I did not grow up in a safe home. And so I definitely learned pretty early on how to like my intuition kept me safe, knowing kind of when things would get chaotic and hard. And then as I got older, it would just be kind of like these little light bulb moments where I'd know something I shouldn't know. And I'm like, you always have a really good sense of when someone's lying to you too. And so that's something it gives you a lot of validation when you're like, I knew it. I knew it. And then I had been given a deck of tarot cards, it's like the classic story. I had a friend's big sister, Andrea Cardona. If you hear this ever, I always say this. I'm like, one of these days she's going to hear this. You changed my life. She just gave me a deck of old tarot cards and said, I think you'd be good at this. And so I started, and this is in the 90s. I live in the middle of nowhere in Wyoming. And I just started looking at the imagery of the cards and figuring out how to meditate with them and I read the cards, ever since and got pretty good with them. I started reading professionally in 2013, but things didn't really kick on until I got pregnant and then had my son. Childbirth just like all the lights came on. Like and it was scary. It was hard. I had to do that little dance of is this happening? Am I okay? I'm fine. It turns out I'm just a medium. And the more that I started to figure out what to do with those experiences, that led me to learning witchcraft and magic, led me to other magical teachers, led me to realize, like, oh, I've been having weird experiences my whole life. I saw fairies when I was 6, like out in Angel Fire, New Mexico, and I still remember it and like saw them with my eyeballs. And yeah, so it has just snowballed from there. But really, the birth of my kiddo is really what kicked everything off.
I love that, mother. So, and again, and you mentioned like not getting overwhelmed. How does someone go know the difference of you're starting a path or you give start to get? How do you turn it or suggest us to turn it into empowerment over overwhelmment?
That was how would I what advice would I give to, like, myself at that age? I mean, it was when I had my son, I mean, I feel like people were I knew a lot of tarot readers and I knew a lot of witches. I didn't know a lot of people that were public about spirit communication. There's these I'm sure maybe you've noticed there's some weird silos, like paranormal people talk with themselves and the mediums kind of stay over here and then the
Yes.
occultists are over here and I'm just like y'all realize we should probably be talking to each other, right? Because there's a lot of
Yes.
overlap. So I think that when you start to especially, for people who they have these experiences pretty young and they happen regularly, I think it's important for you to know that this happens for a lot of us. You're not alone. I do think that you always do need to, like, double check your life. Are you feeling, healthy? Are you feeling safe in your body, your spirit, and your mind? Um, I think get a book and take a class. I just start listening to, I mean, if people are listening to this, clearly they have you as a trusted source that they listen to, but also, like, start following the advice of people like, like Patti Negri or, even myself. I feel like I've learned gone through some
Yes.
stuff, you
You
know, um
let's over this way. Yeah.
yeah, I feel like, actually, sometimes I'll encounter people, they'll come to me and they'll be like, "I think this stuff is happening and I have your book, but I don't know where to start." I'm like, "Start at the beginning of the book." Like, there's a lot of things that are in there, work through those exercises. There's so much publicly and available information now. Take advantage of it. But start by, like, just acknowledging that these things do happen and you're not making it up, and if people tell you that you're making it up, maybe reach out to people that are going to believe you because we have communities now.
Yes.
That would be the starting point. Find people who believe you and can offer you resources, and find a teacher. And if you can't find a teacher, find a book.
Right. I agree wholeheartedly. And then as you're finding that teacher or the book, use your own intuition. Start developing that because there's some great teachers out there and there's some not so great teachers out there with it.
Oh,
So
yeah.
if something feels a little off or wrong to you, maybe it is
Mhm.
wrong for you. So, and again, developing that intuition is what we need to do for the gift anyway. So it's win-win. I love
Absolutely.
it.
Yes. Yes to all of that.
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh, I want to say I wanted to flip back for 1 second. I love that you have spirit board, Ouija board cards. I will buy those and you sell get those on the market. I will because it is I love a good spirit board, Ouija board. I've been using them safely since I was 7 or 8. Literally,
Yeah.
I've many and have the same ones. And but it is cumbersome and you don't want to carry it with you. And so many places people have, there's such stigma around it. If there's a beautiful haunted house, you can't bring in a Ouija board, you can't bring a motel, you can't but card?
I know, but cards, and you can use them. The thing that's fun is you can shuffle them. You can use them with a pendulum. Anyway, yeah, it's well, thank you. Thank you for that encouragement because I just
No,
kind of put them
I
together because
I
I wanted them for myself, and so the Kickstarter may be coming later this year. We'll
yeah,
see.
I'll be your first buyer. It's like,
Ah,
yes. I So, all right, speaking of cards, it is again the first it's a brand new year. We're in 2026. We would love to see some of your beautiful tarot time. Do you want to do a
oh,
well, how do you
yeah.
want to do it? A general reading or what do you suggest doing it from our beautiful
Oh,
audience?
gosh, that'd be so, you know what? Let's start with, because what people will be listening to this at the very beginning of the year.
Mhm.
Let's start with God, so I always like when I'm doing readings, kind of little quickie readings for folks. I will often start with a card that's like maybe kind of like the undercurrent, the vibe, the subtext, the subterranean of what's going on. Something that maybe is a little bit more front of mind. And then maybe what is the advice of how we can kick off the year in the best way possible? Does that sound good?
Perfect.
Oh,
Absolutely.
fun. And I grabbed, before we got started, we were talking. I have a picture of from the show Twin Peaks. I'm a big David Lynch fan. May his memory be a blessing. And so I'm using my Twin Peaks tarot today, and in
Nice.
honor of Mr. Lynch and Twin Peaks. So let's go ahead and for this lovely group of people that are listening to the witching hour today or whenever they find it. And for the energy for this new year of 2026, what's underneath the surface? What is a little bit more front of mind? And what is our advice? Cute. Oh my goodness. Okay. So the vibe, the subterranean, we get Two of Cups. And I love Two of Cups can sometimes mean romantic love. It can be your kinship, your partnerships, but also it can be about like finding your people and finding it can be about community. And so we're coming on the heels of a hard year. And as we're heading into a new year, I think that it is just important that we remember all the time, we have to create the communities that we want to see in the world. We have to show up for each other. And we have to like demonstrate our love for one another by showing up. So that's like the vibe, the subtext. But what's more on our mind is we have get 7 of cups, which is more about feeling pulled in a million directions. It can sometimes feel like we have all the fantasies of what the good things it could be, but also maybe some disaster fantasies as well. We need to remember to maybe keep the middle ground, stay grounded, but also let ourselves dream a little. Let yourself dream a little. Like I kind of love 7 of cups for that daydreamy quality as long as we stay grounded and we don't run away. Don't go chasing waterfalls. As we would have said in the 90s.
Your little
Um
sayings.
I know. I'm like, can I sneak that in there every single time?
I
And then
love that.
our advice for the new year, and I love this so much, is we get 9 of pentacles. Number 1, this is a good money card. This is a good resource card. And so I know there's a lot of folks that are like scared about finances and things like that. Remember that you have the tools to be okay. And 9 of pentacles though is also a card about staying grounded in knowing what you can afford and what you can't. So it's like having the luxuries that you can pay for and being really grateful for them, and also realizing that you can reach a little higher and that you're going to be capable of having what you need to have a nice life. I feel like this is a good way to start the year. I like this. I'm gonna run with this.
Well, I'm gonna run with it too, so hope all of you out there watching and listening run with it. So, it's gonna be a good year. We're gonna
Gonna
find our community. Money's gonna be okay,
Hmm.
and yeah, we could be a little scattered, but keep dreaming.
Keep
Huh.
dreaming, and we always take care of us. That's how it's we are always the ones who make our worlds better. So, we take care of
And
us.
and we have to be, because if we don't take care of us, who's gonna?
Exactly.
We
Exactly.
I love that. Anyway, well, before we go, tell people where they can what you have. Do you have anything coming up in this new year people could come
Oh,
to or watch, or tell us a
I
little bit about all those things?
oh my goodness. Well, I feel like I always have more plans and things coming up than I can shake a stick at. I in the new year, I always start I spend a lot of time in the teacher's spot these days. I work with clients. I mean, I'm a full-time working medium, working witch, so folks can book me for sessions. I do animal communication, spirit communication, tarot, spell work, consultations, just chatting with people about their spiritual gifts. Like, I mean, it is all of the things. I do a lot of teaching, and in the beginning of the year, I always start off with focusing on learning how to listen to yourself. Winter is such a good time on like going internal. So I have a program called Building Blocks for my babies out there who are wanting to get started. So that'll be coming up in the new year. Uh, I feel like I always have so much, but if you go to sterlingmoontarot.com, that's the way that you can keep up with most of what I have going on. I'm pretty active on social media, mostly on Instagram, and I'm at the underscore sterling underscore moon. That's a little cumbersome, but hey, that's how it is. Uh, yeah,
That
that's mainly it.
and what about your book? Show us your new book and anything else and where people can get that.
Oh, well, so there's, you can get a signed copy on my website. And of course, you can get, please, 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 of course, you can get a copy anywhere. But if you can get a copy with a local witchcraft store, support your independent bookstores and your witch shops because they really need it. But yeah, little book of spirit communication. It has lots of exercises, a lot of history, a lot of my favorite weird stories. We cover everything from I mean, of course, ghosts, but also, the the good folk, the elemental spirits, the aliens, the cryptids, the egregores, we talk about all of it. And I really love this little guy. So I hope you like it too if you get a copy.
Yes, so everybody. So you guys check it out. Available everywhere, and do support your little brick and mortar shops
Yeah.
that we need so bad before they all go away. And thank you, Sterling. You are such a joy and a blessing to have on the show. We'll have you back again soon
Oh,
because.
thank you.
So any last words for anybody to take us out and take us into 2026?
Oh gosh. Well, first of all, just thank you. And everybody keep listening to Patty because I mean, I look up to you, Patti Negri, and so I think it's just nice to have you out there and doing the good work. And everyone just, for anyone who's listening, just keep your chin up and remember that we co-create the world that we want to live in. and we're gonna be okay, and there's a lot of joy to be had in this coming year. A lot of work to do, but also a lot of joy to be had, and remember that your spirits, your ancestors, the spirits of the communities that you live in and work in, they're there to support you. They wanna see us thrive, they wanna see you thrive too.
Perfect. Thank you so much for your words of wisdom and advice. Thank you, and thank you for bringing your magic to the witch.
Thank you.